I can't make it. Yeah, so I'll talk through about the first thing is around setting a culture in the studio and in the team around these numbers. Okay, so important that it's not just, you know, for one person or just for you guys in your head. It's got to be the culture and the mindset and the attitude of the entire team. And I'll show you how we do that. And then we'll go through some principles, some sales principles, but also just like about, you know, like our members. And then we go into, I want to touch on the script, and just want to, like, I won't go into full kind of in depth and, you know, do a role play of the script. I'll just go through, I'll touch on why it's in a particular sequence and why it's in that sequence, and why every sale pretty much follows the same straight line. Okay, so we need to make sure that we do follow it. Fish, good morning.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
It's all right, mate. And then we've got some killer questions and some little hooks in there as well. That's definitely been helping. Well, it always helps, but definitely it's been helping in this particular period. And then at that point, what we'll do is we're going to throw to a couple of people in here that have actually been selling for themselves during the pandemic, and to get, you know, memberships for the reopen. And I've got Mike here, so Magic Mike. Mike's over here. He's one of our sales wolves, and he's doing sales for a few of the studios on board here. And Mike's like in the trenches every single day. So anything kind of like specific objections and all that sort of stuff, Mike's here to sort of like, you can role play with Mike and all that sort of stuff. So we'll keep it open. If you've got any, what I'll do is I will put everyone on mute, but any questions, just unmute yourself and just jump straight in. So in the meantime, I'm going to, any questions? They're all good. I'm going to share my screen. All right, can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yeah, coolio. So I'm just going to go straight into this one here. So first thing we've got to do is we've got to set the goal, right? So I've like, you can't have it, like, you have to have a sales goal. You have to have a number. You have to have a target and a deadline. Otherwise it doesn't really matter. Step one, and you guys can write this down, you guys can follow along, you guys can do whatever you need to do, but you've got to make sure, so where do you want to be in 4 weeks after reopen? Look, the reason why we're using 4 weeks at the moment is because the first couple of weeks are going to get a little bit freaking scrappy. And, you know, there's going to be, you know, capacity issues and this, that, and the other. The first couple of weeks might be complete dog's breakfast. But pick a number. So pick a number. Where do you want to be 4 weeks after reopen? And then obviously form a bit of a view on when that date is. So for us over here in New South Wales, South Australia, you guys have just been thrown a fucking curveball, and wherever else up there in North America, just form a view on when it is that you think is going to be your open date, then plus 4 weeks. So for us here in Sydney, I think we've said like mid-June. So then we just plus 4 weeks after that, and whatever the number is. If you're not sure, like if you're flipping between 2 different weeks, obviously choose a sooner week, just so it kind of, you know, you'd rather hit it a week early than be a week late. So that's step one. Where do we want to be 4 weeks after reopen? Then step two, and it's really where everyone should be right now, is finding out where do you think you are now? Like, what do you think you're going to open with? You know, some studios down in Melbourne are sending out a survey. Jules, you guys are sending out a survey, yeah, to all your people? Yeah. Yep. So you can either do it with a survey, you can do, you know, phone calls, text messages, just get a real sense of, you know, or just speak to them. Like, just get a real sense of, like, where do you think you're going to open with? To like a 90% confidence, to like a 90% confidence. If you want to make that 90% confidence even stronger, or even get to 90% confidence, take deposits. That's been working well for us. That's been working well for us. So for instance, if we've got, you know, a whole bunch of people on our, like, you know, for us, the bit that was actually like the scariest bit wasn't actually when we got shut down. It was about, you know, it was the 4 weeks prior to that where we could feel the floor was about to, you know, fall from underneath us. It was the cancels are starting to come through, the suspensions are starting to come through. It's those people who cancelled and they didn't really know why, but they were just like shit, and they were just kind of like jumping out with a parachute. Like those ones, if you offered them something to come back in, whether it be a half price first month, or whether it be a free scan, or whether it be, you know, a bonus week, whatever it is that you've offered them, get a deposit from them. You know, if that helps you build your confidence levels up. So now you've got where you want to be and a deadline, and you have your now, right? So if anyone doesn't know where their now is, for those that haven't opened yet, I would suggest that is your focus for, what day is it today? Friday. Yeah, I would suggest that is your focus, like as of now, is just to really find what your floor is. So if you've got one and if you've got two, now you can do number 3, and that's where you now establish your run rate. So your run rate is whatever the gap is, right? 100, 50, whatever it is, in this many days, right? So basically you're working out, it's how many sales you need per day. And you've got to get granular on that. We've got to get granular on that. You've got to wake up and you've got to know what your number is every single day, which gets you into step 4. So you've got to make sure that your entire leadership team, led by you guys, if you're the owners, you guys are hunting down that number every single day. And that'll come from everywhere and anywhere you can find it, right? Not just the Facebook stuff, right? Because there was, you know, there's emails, there's your dead list, there's your nurture lists, there's text messages, there's referrals, there's corporates, there's like wherever you can get them from. Let's say your number's 4 every day. It's just like you just got to hunt down that 4 every single day, right? What really works for us is that you update that number every single day and make sure that the team looks at that scoreboard every day. So we call it a scoreboard, and you can't, like, how do you win the game if you don't know what the score is at any given time? And the idea is that if you win the day, you win the week, and if we win more weeks than not, we win the comeback. And it's got to be like that. We've got to reverse engineer. We have to reverse engineer that. So at any point, you know, like, you know, Amy, you know, you're going to bed that night and like you've won the day. You've hit your 4 or your 5 or your 3 or your 2 or your whatever it is. And it's got to get that granular. You know, if you've got your sales man, or if you've got a studio manager, or if you've got a head trainer helping you with that, or if you've got a couple of other trainers helping with that as well, you can make that a team target, right? And you can make it fun as well, like in terms of the incentivizing the comeback, you know, being able to hit that target 4 weeks after reopen, whether it be some incentive schemes that you have internally, or whether it be a you know, like whether it's a fiscally based, like a monetary based thing, or whether it's just a team thing in terms of like you guys are all going out or a little weekend away or something like that. I know a lot of teams, you know, as owners, we might think that everyone is motivated by money, but it's not the case. So find out from your team. If you're going to get your team involved, find out from them, like, what is it that's going to really motivate them? And then you hammer towards it. So sometimes what we do is, when we're allowed to, we would do, we would rent out a boat on the Sydney Harbour and do like a day on the boat, right? And so it was always about the boat day. So we would have a target, and it would be like, you know, 50 to boat. And every time the team are chipping away at that number, we reduce that number to boat. We reduce it. It was like a running scoreboard, like a reverse scoreboard. And it just got a whole team involved. They just wanted to spend a whole day on the boat. We paid for them as if it was their shifts as well. And that was a real big thing for them. Not everyone wants to get motivated from money, but if they do, even better, because that makes it easier. So that's the first thing. So just a quick show of hands. has already done step one. Who knows where you want to be 4 weeks after reopen? Good. Great. Okay, some of you do. For the rest of you, you can find that pick a number. And look, and how do you pick that number? Obviously, start with where you were before shit went down, and apply some kind of a tolerance level on that. Whether it be like 30% from that, or whether 60% of that, or whether it be just like, where do you need to be? And it depends, right? It'll depend on how aggressive you are as an owner. It depends on your overheads. It depends on what's happening around you. Just form a bit of a view on that. Show of hands, who's up to step 2? So who sort of knows what number it is that you're going to work with? The Adelaide crew, as is opened. Field, you guys are. Do you reckon you're almost there with that, Field?
Have a rough idea. Probably just got to finalise it once we go through a few more members coming back in.
Okay, perfect.
So we'll know probably halfway through next week.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So then you've got to establish your run rate. So if you've done 1, you've done 2, and now you've established your run rate. Now, if you want, we can actually help you guys. Automate step 4. So we can help you automate step 4, and that it alerts. We set up a dashboard, which is an Excel sheet in the background somewhere, and as long as you guys update the numbers, we can set up a little bit of magic that pushes that through to a Slack channel if you guys are on Slack with your team. And it basically, at the same time, every single day, it spits out and it calculates what your run rate is now, and what run rate is needed, and what run rate you guys are achieving, and it updates it every single day. So if you want that, just drop into your Slack channel if you need help to make sure that gets updated every single day. Right, so that's the first thing around making it a culture. And setting your goals. You need a number. You need to know if you're doing well. You need to know if you're winning your weeks. The next thing, and this has always been the case, and it hasn't changed even with the lockdown, it's the sales principles, okay? The first one that is probably hard for us to cop as, a gym, but it's realising a couple of things. The first one is no one actually wants a gym membership. Right? No one wants a gym membership. They want the outcome. They need to solve a problem, right? That's why they're on the front to you guys. That's why they put that request through. You've got to solve their problem, right? And how we do that is when you get into the phone call, and you go through the script, right? Which we're going to go through kind of an overview of it in a second. But once you go through that script, you've got to sit in the moment and you've got to dig. You've got to dig. And you actually have to go into that call with the view of, I need to find out what is really under the hood of this person's motivations, why they're on the phone to me. So dig. And then once I find it, I actually have to help this person. It's a core essence. It's a principle around, our core essence that's in our kind of team handbook and all that kind of stuff is people care about being cared about. People care about being cared about. And if someone's on the phone to you and they're telling you about, it's not it. And I'll give you another tip. It's not actually like if someone says, I want to tone up or I want to lose weight, you got to go deeper. That's not enough. There's a reason underneath that. And we've got to find out why that is. And once we find that, we've got to help that person out. The next thing you've got to realize is our product, like once you understand that, you've got to realize that our product is in fact the obstacle, right? No one actually wants to do the 8-week challenge. Like no one actually wants to be in a deficit for 8 weeks and bust their ass out on the training floor, right? Not enjoy, the beers and burgers and just like living a life and not having to like whatever. Even our training sessions, as much as, you guys are weapons, and you love the training, what it actually is, it's the feeling afterwards. It's the endorphins. It's being able to look in the mirror and being happy with what you see. It's your confidence levels. It's your energy levels. It's the fact that that's an identity. Like that's a vote for an identity that you want to create and you want the world to see, right? But the product, our product, what we're doing is in fact the obstacle, right? So we need to sell them the bit on the other side of the obstacle. No one cares, or certainly outside the F45 world, no one cares about Corey G or about the kettlebells or the difference between a kettlebell and a Y bell. Most times, no one actually gives a shit, right? They want to solve their problem. The fortune is in the follow. I can't even tell you how many times, you know, a studio owner or someone doing the course for the studio is like, oh, but no one's picking up. Like, get over it. They won't pick up the first time. Just keep going. Just keep going, right? Like everyone's busy. Everyone is busy. Follow-ups for us before like this shit went down, it was somewhere between like the 5 to 8 mark. We would get them on the phones. But through lockdown, it kind of extended out to about a sort of 10, 12 mark. And there were times where the challenge just before, like the first challenge back in this year when we were doing the sales, because we do sales for other studios, we get to see a lot of data. And what we were finding is that like, you know, it's anyone can find you a lead, but there's so many times, and I funnel hack other sort of studios as well. You see that like, you know, you put through a request to get a call back and you never get a call back, right? Or you get a text message from some other studios, reply why, you know, if you're interested, you reply why, and you don't hear anything back. Like the fortune is in the follow-up. You've got to get used to the fact that people won't pick up the first time. Get over it, keep going. Got to hunt down that number, which is the number that you worked out in the first place. And then the final principle, which is always the case, is you've got to follow the script. So I'm going to flick over to the script here. You guys can see the script?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this script, look, it just works. I mean, this script has probably been responsible for generating about $9 million worth of, you know, lifetime value memberships across all the different studios that we've used it for over the years. And it just bloody works. And you've just got to follow it, okay? You've just got to follow it. You guys have this file. And if you need access to it again, just drop it into your Slack channel. Watch the tutorial here. There's a link to the tutorial. But the good news about this script is it takes away a lot of the need or the belief that sales, like I'm not a salesperson or I'm not good at sales or whatever. It's like sales is not reserved for like a gifted few, right? It's a process. If you can follow the process, you can make sales. Now, what I want to make super clear about this script is, and like this is a base level script. It changes whether it's a 28-day Kickstart, whether it's a membership, whether it's a bloody challenge, whether it's a whatever it is. It follows some certain sort of principles in here. But the main thing is every sale that we make every single day follows the same straight line. Okay? It may deviate up and down, but the role for us as the caller, right? Or if they're in the studio, like if you get a walk in, the role for us is to maintain control of the conversation. And whoever's got control wins. The end. So the first thing is if you're on the phones or for your managers or whoever's doing your call, is to have this script in front of you, have your phone ready, your notepad, your pen. I even start, you know, if we get the lead through, I check them out or I try to find them on Facebook, do a little bit of a stalk to see what they're up to, see what they're into. You know, if you see someone who's got, you know, a surfboard under their arm and they love surfing or this, that, and the other, you just have it up there as a little bit of a, you know, kind of grease the wheels in this next bit that we're about to start in this first or in the second section. You know, you might, and don't get freaking creepy about it, but don't be like, oh, I can see you like surfing. That'll fucking freak him out. Don't say that. Right? But, so there's 5 main sections of this script. The intro, rapport, the rapport, some of the mindset stuff, the pitch, essentially, and then the close. Okay? It has to go in that order. You can't jump around. Now, if anyone's doing your own sales calls, record them for me and drop them into your channel. We'll give you like live feedback on what's happening with those calls, just to sort of help you either way. But the first thing is like the intro. In there, we want to make that super snappy. That happens in about 1 minute. Like you get through that whole thing in just 1 minute, okay? The bit that I've highlighted, right? So it's, hey, my name is, Jake. I'm the head trainer. How you going today? Great. Just giving you a quick call to show some interest in our, whatever it is, right? A VIP list or 28 Kickstarter, whatever it is. But listen, I've only got a couple of minutes to chat, so I'm going to keep this super short. Now, what that line does, within the first few seconds, it gives you control of that phone call, right? Because I've only got a couple of minutes to chat, so I'm going to keep that super short, okay? Now, listen, the purpose of this call is I want to find out a little bit more about yourself, and you see how you use the tone. I want to find out a little bit more about yourself, what you want to get out of a program, so I can see this will be the right fit for you, right? So that's called the pre-frame. The purpose of this call is I want to find out a little bit more about you, what you want to get out of the program, so I can see if it's going to be the right fit for you. So automatically, it's kind of like, oh shit, like as you're executing that sort of intro line, you're thinking of yourself as like a surgeon or a doctor rather than someone that's like flogging gym memberships, right? Like and that's at level, like, as a premium service, that is that level that we're sort of dealing with. Like we are looking for the best people, because that's the other principle as well. None of this is about trying to drag people in to your studio that is not the right fit. We are looking for the best, like the most ideal, the most interested, that are going to pay full price and that are going to be here 12 months from now, right? If they're going to pay full price and be here 12 months from now, they're going to give you about $2,500. And in anyone's money, that's good. And that's how our businesses make money, right? Is multiplying that, like seeing how many of those we can generate every single week, all day. So that's the intro. Now, really, that gets done in about a couple of minutes. Short, snappy. We don't want to go into the sort of like, we don't want to go over here going, oh, how's your day? How's the day? How's the weather? And, have my morning coffee and a happy Wednesday and all that kind of, like, no one's got time for that. Okay. We want to get into there. You get that out of the way and then you're into the second part, rapport. Now, these next two bits is where you're going to spend the most of your time. Like overall, like a good sales call should probably take about, what do you reckon, Magic? About 10 to 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So rapport, the goal here in this section is to find and fuse a connection with the caller, right? The reason why is because people buy from people they know, like, and trust. So if we're going to, like, this bit, like, don't rush this bit. If we want to reduce the amount of objections we're going to get later on about, I don't have my card on me, don't have my wallet on me, all that sort of gear, nail this bit, right? Find and fuse a connection, right? And the easiest way to do that, I find, and it's one of the killer questions, is you just go, so, once you get through this bit up here, the purpose of this call is blah, 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 blah. Cool, great. Okay, so what's the, what's the Amy story? And just like leave it open. Just like open it all up. Let them talk. And you can say, like, aside from health and fitness, what's the Amy story, right? Let them talk. They might say, I'm a nurse. Oh, wow, shit. We've got heaps of nurses here. You at RPA? Yeah, I am at RPA. Oh, whereabouts? Oh, Oh, do you know Joe Holt? Shit, I work with Joe. Fuck, she's one of our members. She's been here for bloody ages. I'm in the back of a taxi where they're looking for a Porto burgers like last Friday. Find something. And if you're struggling, that's where your, strategic stalking on Facebook might come in, right? What'd you get up to on the weekend? Lovely weather. Did you go for a surf or anything? Oh shit, you are a surfer, are you? Oh yeah, we'll try and, Magic's a surfer. That's the only reason I'm using that example. But find a connection, right? Where do they work? Like, find something. You're always scanning, and as you get like used to it, you'll start recognizing patterns. And pattern recognition is so important when you go through this, because it'll be like you'll start picking up on things that and then you'll know what to say next. So find and fuse a connection, but like don't move on until you have, because people need to feel like they're talking to someone that they can be open with. Because in the next part this is where it gets juicy. Spend time here, okay? Do not rush this bit. The goal here is we need to get into the mindset of the caller and really understand their pain, right? Let it get deep. They should be talking way more than you, but you're asking the questions, okay? Write notes, and just like actually sound genuinely, into it as well. So in this particular bit here, we've got to establish a gap. We need to establish a gap, okay? It's where are they now? Where do they want to be and why? Why is that so important, right? And then you've established a gap. And then the question is, what do you think you need to do to close that massive gap from where you are here to where you want to get to? What do you think it is? And then they'll tell you, right? They'll tell you what they want from you or what they need from you. Okay? So, how you can make that easy is you go through these questions. So what got you interested? Is an easy question to ask. So why'd you click on the link? So what got you interested? So why am I on the, yeah. And they'll talk to you about like, and again, and if you've done that last section well, they will feel comfortable with you. So they'll talk to you about, fuck, I'm just not feeling like I'm just lazy. I'm not sleeping well. I'm about 10 over, or I've got to get, I've just got asked to be a bridesmaid and fuck, I've got to get my shit together for that, or like whatever it is and that sort of stuff. Okay, so then, and then you pick a date in the future. Okay, pick a date in the future. We always tend to use things like, their birthday or Christmas, if it's that time of the year, or, if it's sort of not too far out. When we've been in lockdown, we've been talking about when they release us back into the world, like when they release us back into the world again, where do you want to be by the time lockdown finishes? Like, so use a date that people can relate to, or if you're selling the challenge, like it's at the end of the 8 weeks. Okay, and the reason being is because, or I'll tell you in a second, it's really powerful, right? So then it's like you want to pick a date in the distance that they can. It's called future pacing, right? Or future placing and future pacing. And you want to put them in that moment over there and really use your 5 senses to make that super real. Think of it as like a postcard. If they're going to mail you a postcard from there, they're going to time travel to there. What does that picture look like? What would you need to achieve in 6 months' time? What would you need to achieve by Christmas for you to feel super happy and proud, of what you've done over the next 6 months or over the last 6 months? Tell me how that feels. Why is that so important to you? Really make them sink into that moment, right? And then it's like, well, so what stopped you from achieving these results? Because that in there, you want to find out like what has been their thing that is like a self-sabotage, whether it's all the, the shit stories they keep telling themselves about why they can't have this outcome, or it might be like time, or it might be kids, or it's work, or fucking, self-belief, or all that shit that we need to help them with, right? And now we're getting closer to like, it's not just tone up, we've got to solve that bit. And then when you go like, what do you think you need to do to close that massive gap from where you are now to where you want to get to? They'll tell you what they need most from us. And when they do, we do this thing called labeling, right? So we label back to them. So if they go, I just don't know, what I should be eating. Should I be doing fasting? Can I have carbs? Can I not have carbs? Okay. So nutrition. So you need some nutrition coaching. What else? Okay. Well, I don't really know how to train properly. Like I don't, when I walk into a normal gym, I don't really know what I should be doing or how I should be lifting stuff. Okay. So you need some training. So you need some training help. You need some help around what to do in your exercise and things like that. What else? Well, I find it easy to, start new programs, but I can never kind of stick to it. All right. So accountability, you need someone to help you keep you accountable. Is that fair enough? That's also a little trick too. So fair enough. Like, is that fair enough? Like if you hear one of us do it, like that's probably one of the most common terms that we use, because fair is like, it's like the lowest friction point of compliance. Because it's not a yes. It's not like, do you agree? It's kind of like, oh shit, I've got to think about that now. It's like, is that fair enough? So you label, and there's 4 things that we provide our guys, right? That is more than just training. There's community, there's accountability, there's nutrition, and there's training. Community, accountability, nutrition, and training. to make it really easy for you, that spells can't, right? And the reason why you can't get results on your own, it's not your fault, but you just haven't had the 4 things, right? You've just tried training, right? Or you've just done a detox, but you're not, no one's keeping you accountable, all that sort of stuff. And then the last question is, and it's one of our killer questions, is why now? Why now are you at the point where you think you need help? And that's super important. You've really got to find out why it is now. And you'll be surprised how many times, I'm telling you, the leads come through on a Sunday. Our biggest sales days are typically Mondays from the leads that came in on the weekend. And you'll be surprised how many people just got tagged in a photo on Facebook, right? And they've just seen themselves and they're like, fuck, is that what I look like? Or they went out to a party when you could go to parties and they just didn't feel comfortable there, right? And you watch how the seasons change. Like if someone's birthday's coming, if they're coming up to a milestone birthday, that's a big thing, right? Weddings, parties, like just stuff like that. Like really find out what their why is. And then once you really kind of feel like you've got that bit and you really have, the real reason why, then and only then do you move on to doing the pitch. Now, the biggest mistake that we see when we listen in on calls is people make the pitch too early, right? So don't pitch too early. When people say, oh, just running out of time, don't jump in and go, well, good news is our workouts are just 45 minutes. And all you need to do is it's like, don't pitch too early. Just let them sit in that moment and just like stay understanding what their main problem is before you jump into solutions mode. Then the transition from this moment or this section to this section is the recap, right? So then you go, okay, so Jess, I just want to recap this before we move on. So you're here now. We need to get you over here for these reasons, right? For these reasons, which is why it's so important for you. But what we've got to fix here is this middle bit. We need to help you with this, and with this. Does that sound fair enough? And they typically go yes, unless you've not listened. And then there is a bit in here where you can kind of do like the scale, like out of 10, if you could get all those things, like how serious are you at the moment, in this moment to make this happen, right? And if they give you anything, like what we're looking for is like an 8, 9 or a 10, to be honest. Even if they only give you an 8, right? It's like, well, hang on, you're trying to tell me if we give you all those things that are going to get you to, and be specific with whatever they told you, whether it's like on the beach, in Bali, drinking the Bintangs, feeling super confident in my new bikini. If I give you everything to get you to that point by your birthday, you're only going to give me 80% effort, right? And that works really well with guys, because then the guys particularly will always go, oh, no, I'm always, I'm a man of my word, and if I say I'm going to fucking do something, I'm going to fucking do it. And you're like, okay, mate, well, that sounds like a 10 to me. And they go, yeah, all right, put me down for a 10. If they give you like a 7 or a 6, and they kind of really lowball you on that, you probably haven't done enough to kind of get them to build rapport with you, or there might be like a real kind of self-confidence thing that you just got to harness and just kind of be careful with. But if someone kind of gives you a bit of a 7, you can ask the other question, right? Instead of asking them why it's not a 10, ask them, why didn't you say it was a 3 out of 10? Like, why is it not a 3? And then what you'll find is they'll sell you on why it's so important for them right now. And then the second question you ask is like, sounds like it's more than a 7 to you. And they probably go, oh, actually, yeah, you're probably right. It's probably about a 9 or a 10. So you just got to use a couple of those techniques there. Based on all that, and really only if it is based on all that, you've got to decide whether they are a perfect fit, like whether they are someone that you can help, someone that you want in your studio, someone you want as part of your community, okay? Because that's the other big thing as well. And that's the reason why a lot of top studios that did really well on the lockdown, the ones that did really well are the ones that have got the strongest communities. And the ones that have got the strongest communities actually curate and defend their community and making sure that you brought the right people into your business. So yeah, like if someone's genuinely not a perfect fit, don't be unethical. Don't sell them, And then you go into this sort of part here, which again, we don't need to jump into right now because this is where it actually gets. This is where you basically sort of rattle off like what is actually included in the program. But what you'll see here is is the bit in black. The reason why they're two different colours, I'll explain right now. The bit in black is what we used to say, and the bit in blue is what we added, and it significantly increased that conversion rate. Reason being is because, actually, Amy, I'm going to ask you, the bit in black versus the bit in blue. What's the difference?
The bit in black
is
the short summary, and the bit in blue is what you're talking through.
Yeah, okay.
So the black is what you want to like summarize and get to, but the blue is what I talk through to get them there.
Almost. Fish, what's the difference between the bit in black and the bit in blue? Mute, you're on mute.
It sounds like it's a lot more specific, so it makes it more real and relatable to the person.
Getting closer. Andrew from Yakutia.
Yeah.
Difference between the black and the blue?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like the girls were saying, it's a bit of a short summary. You're drilling more into what you're picturing. You're giving them a picture of what can be like in front of them, I guess, designed to build quality lean muscle. So you're getting into more detail.
Okay. Lanny, Pete, come in, spinner. Difference between the black and the blue.
Are they features and benefits, Dozer?
Hey! Features and benefits. Team South Australia. That's exactly right. Right? So, feature. When we used to like, and the problem with, like, not problem, but like typical gym sales, when you hear people on the phone and we're like, 45 sessions a week, 400 kind of, different moves that, we can buy, this amount of rest and interval this and this, and it's like, whoa, okay. What's in it for me? So what? Why should I give a shit about that, right? So we used to do unlimited team-based personal training, and we're like, okay, fucking hell. Designed to build quality lean muscle, trim your belly, mate, stay injury-free. We've got sessions all week, dude. We've got 45 sessions all week. You just need to choose 3 or 5. In your situation, 3 to 5 for what you want to achieve, right? Instead of nutrition support, which is a feature, to help you get lean and toned and still enjoy the cheese and wine on the weekends with the girls. We've had people on this program with 4 kgs without, giving up their favorite food or, without abandoning their social life. Accountability coaching from our head trainers, like, that sounds fucking scary. But it's like, mate, we do the, weekly check-ins here to make sure that, we guarantee the results. You get to build your healthy habits and techniques that go way beyond the 28 days, mate. This is something that you're going to keep for life, and it's everyone's favorite. Okay, so it's a features versus benefits. We want to sell the benefits. And even better, we want to relate that back to the original pain or the original problem that we're solving for these people. Okay, and how these things are going to solve that for them. And then you've got to absolutely got to wrap it up and say, so basically it's whatever it is, you wrap that up, whether it's a 4-week thing or whether it's a membership or like whatever it is. Now, Fish, does that sound like something you've been looking for? I'll take that as a yes. So, like, if they don't give you a yes, do not move on. You've got to find out why it's not a hell yeah, right? Because somewhere along the line with sort of, there's been a communication situation somewhere along the line. We've got to move back to like, why is it not a yes? If that's not a resounding yes, you just got to like, is it because they're about to confront the fact that they've got to fucking do this? And for 10 years, they've like, they've told themselves they're too old or too unfit or whatever it is, or is it, or is it actually we're not listening to them and it's not clear what problem we're solving, right? And by the way, if they do give you a yes, that's a trial close. And listen to their tone on their voice as well. If they go, fucking yeah, then it's like, rip in, here we go. Now, we're only taking on 20 people for this intake. So we go into the close. Now, the close, there's a lot going on here in this close. There's only a few lines, but there's a lot going on in this close. Scarcity and urgency are like 2 of the most powerful things, if used correctly. Scarcity and urgency are 2 of the most powerful sales techniques. They're part, human impulses and things like that. It's FOMO, right? FOMO, is not just a social media thing. For thousands of years, we've always, you know, if we got banished from the tribe, back in the early days, if we weren't part of the tribe, or if we got sent out from the tribe, that kind of meant death. No fire, no shelter, no chance of reproduction, you know, all that sort of stuff. So no food, you know, so FOMO is not just a TikTok thing. It's definitely a human instinct. But we do want to create scarcity. And so that's why, you guys have seen our ads. That's why we create a bit of scarcity in that as well. Listen, we're only taking 20 people from this intake. We like to keep the groups nice and small so everyone gets the right level of attention because of all that stuff that we do for everyone. And once the spots are gone, mate, they are gone. And normally it's whatever the price, so we value stack it and we assign a value for all the things that we throw in, okay? I think F45, when we first started 6-7 years ago, whatever it was, 6 years ago, $66 a week, shit. Like it was so salty. Like it was like, okay, we have to sell this bloody thing. But when you actually stack everything that I know you guys do in your studio, I know how much you guys do, right? And you stack that all together, all those phone calls, all those therapy sessions with people that aren't bloody losing the weight, all that time, all that setup, packed out, everything you guys do that you put in so much effort for your members, you think about it, it's fucking dirt cheap, right? You've got to value yourself. So when you stack that all up, normally it's whatever the price is for everything, but for today, that whatever the number is drops to whatever the number is now on the phone, right? The whole thing. You've got to create the drop. You've got to create the drop, right? Retailers use this very well. Obviously, it's a thing. Whenever we, again, listen in on phone calls, this is the bit, this is one of the things that people always miss out on is the drop. And the reason why we do that is because you've got to create a price anchor, which makes this price seem even more valuable, right? And if you've done this bit well, all the stuff that it includes that solves this person's problem, and normally it's this much, but now it comes down to this much, the value of it really skyrockets. And it's never about price, it's about value, okay? If you're getting stuck in a price conversation, you haven't communicated the value. And value comes from solving the problem. So then basically it's like, this is where everyone kind of starts to buckle, okay? This is where everyone starts to buckle. I fucking did as well, right? This is where everyone starts to buckle, but you're about to go into the close here. So this is where it goes. So getting started is really simple. All we've got to do is go through your payment information over the phone right now so we can set you all up. I've got I have the system right in front of me. And then we can book in a time for your orientation session. So what would you like to use for that 132, or what would you like to use? Visa or MasterCard? Then you close your mouth. Next one to talk.
Okay, toasty, mate.
Losers. What would you like to use, Visa or MasterCard? Magic, how do you do that line?
Exactly the same. Like I just, what would you like to use, Visa or MasterCard? Which is easiest for you?
Which is easiest for you, yeah. And that is it. Like you're just taking control. You're just taking control. We and if you've controlled the conversation this whole way through, there's probably about minute 13 mark, minute 15 mark. If you've controlled the conversation the whole way through and you know what is holding this person back, and you know that deep down there is someone trapped inside them that just wants to get out, you've got to help them. It's our responsibility to help them out, right? It's our responsibility. That's the business that we're in. So we need to make sure that happens. And then, so once you get through that bit, and you'll get better over time with that, then you just want to make sure that it's like, you want to empower these guys, so it's great chatting with you. Listen, we're going to do this, okay? Fish, me and you, we're going to do this, right? We're going to end this fucking shit. We're going to get you on that beach in Bali in 6 months' time with a bintang. You're going to take a photo of it, you can send it over to us, and you're going to be our next, success story, right? We are going to do this, right? And even, and just, really care about these people. So, and then in the call, send them the confirmation emails. And even if you really want to get the hang of things, that's where you can ask them for a referral as well. I mean, you may as well. Any questions? Any questions? There's a lot in there.
Yeah, thank you.
Nah? Okay.
A question. I have a
Yes.
question. Probably maybe Magic. Are you seeing anything pop up in the current environment, like objection wise or anything like that, that's a bit different to what we might have seen before?
Surprisingly, not a lot. Not a lot. Oh, I will say about the script. Like I've been kind of taking some notes just to let you guys know what's the most important parts of the script and that. And I've pretty much ended up writing out the whole script. So I think the whole script is definitely important. Definitely a couple of things Dozer mentioned, like the beginning of the script, just to build that rapport and have a really good introduction. Because if you don't do that, when you do want to find out their goals and their pain and that, it makes it a lot harder because you haven't got that rapport and haven't got that good introduction. So I think that first 4 seconds, 7 seconds is really important. And as well as objections, like generally objections, a lot of objections I get towards the end come back to I haven't done the script as good as I should have. Like I can go back and see exactly where I haven't actually dug deep enough in the script. So you got to make sure you're doing all that, before you ask for the sale at the end, because otherwise, that's when you tend to get the objections. Objections I'm getting at the moment, I mean, for Aaron at Belmont, who's already open, no different objections and little objections or smaller objections that I was getting before because he's open. I guess for studios that haven't opened yet, like in Sydney and that, where we don't have a date, probably the main objection is when are you going to open? Like I'd rather wait, until we know when we're going to open, before I actually commit to doing something. Although I'm not getting that objection a lot. That's probably the difference, the main difference objection you're going to get, because they obviously don't know when the studio is going to open. And then basically sort of handle that one. I understand that. I emphasize with them about that. And then I sort of say, I've been saying, can I tell you that the majority of people I'm talking to actually do want to lock it in now because A, they're ready, and B, they don't want to put it off again once the studio is open. So they'd rather lock it in knowing that they've got some training set in for the next few weeks. And also saying to them that it actually puts them in a positive mindset and they know they've got it done. They've locked themselves in for the training when the studio is open. So they're already feeling better about making that decision. As far as other objections, that's the main one, I think. I can't really think of any different objections I'm getting.
At the moment, yeah?
At the moment, yeah.
Patty?
Question when you're ready.
Who's that, Michelle?
Yeah, I got a question. We've had new people, right, who we don't have a relationship with, asking, because, we're restricted. We're not even open, but then we're restricted. They're like, how do I know I'm going to get as much training as I want? Because of the restrictions. Now, with our community, we can discuss that and, they can understand. But with the new people coming in, a couple of people said it's going to be worth my value, because if I want to train 7 days a week, I want to train 7 days a week. But are you going to do that with the capacity issues? Have you had that yet?
And you talk to them about the Zoom stuff as well, that they can join?
Yeah. But like I said, when you've got that you've made rapport with them for 2 minutes on the phone, but it's not like, 2 years of training next to them type thing. I was just curious if you've had that yet. Is that a suburbs thing?
So is it real that they're worried that once they do open, the studio does open, that they won't be able to get as many classes in as they would like?
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, generally as an overall thing, I use it. We've got such a variety of classes, and we do have a good range of times. So I don't think it's going to be, or it's never been a previous problem sort of thing. We've always been able to cater to everyone doing the classes. Generally, that's what I've been saying to them.
Okay.
And then I'd probably loop back to, back to their goal. Back to their goal. They might not need to train 7 times a week.
No, hurt your knees.
For that particular goal. Exactly right. It's like, mate, for what you need to do, we've got to focus on your nutrition, man.
Yeah. That's a good point, nutrition. Okay, and then another question. This was just on a curiosity. Has anyone ever said to you after the script, why is it, if you say it's worth $350 and you're saying you're all that, why have you discounted it?
Probably about 1%, I reckon, of people. Like very, very rarely. Like even less. Like I can't even remember when someone's actually asked me why. Most of the reaction is, wow, that's awesome. Like $350 down to that. But they never really question what the $350 is.
Okay. I was just curious on that one.
Someone else had a question, I think. Oh no, Paddy. Where is Paddy? Is he still there? The boys, unmute. I've just unmuted you. Oh, hang on. Paddy, unmute.
Yeah, why?
Okay,
Why?
All right.
Why?
How are you, boys? So, Paddy, you had a question. Magic, this is a question from these lunatics.
Us? It was from me.
Magic,
Yeah.
how do we convert people that say, oh, I just put my name down to get more information, and they're not ready to commit? How do you do that without seeming pushy or
I think, I think a lot of it comes back to the script. Like if you're getting someone towards the end of that, like if you are building that rapport, finding out what their pain is, letting them realise the pain and painting the picture of success once they sort of achieve that goal, and getting the commitment from them, the 1 to 10 commitment. So basically, if you're doing the script right, I don't think you should be getting that objection.
Are you saying are you saying that happens at the start, Paddy?
Yeah. Oh, can be towards the end as well. I normally if I go through the script, and I've had like 10 or 12 minute phone calls where I get towards the end of the script, and they're like, well, I was just after more information.
By the way, that is bullshit.
Kick the balls, isn't it?
Well, unless it's someone from down the road.
Maybe.
Right? Like unless it's someone from down the road. But I reckon Magic's spot on. It's about nailing that dig and really finding what is that point of like what's hurting them the most.
Yeah. Because if you don't have that information, you can't. Like ideally, when you get that, you're going to circle back to the pain. To they're 8 out of 10 motivated to get it started now. So you need to have that to go back to.
And particularly when you ask the sort of like the why now and tell me what that feels like, and like what's the story like. And here's another question as well that I've got here is how would you feel if you didn't achieve? Like how would you feel if you didn't achieve that in that amount of time? Generally, those questions right at the top. It also screens for you guys if it's worth your time for the rest of this phone call, right? Because like with your pipeline, like the amount of leads everyone's getting, like it's like fuck, which one do I call first, and how long is this going to take me, right? And then you've got to do all your follow-ups. Really that top half of that script or that top third of that script, it's really all about making sure that you're also screening out those that are just time wasters. Magic, what's the line about the two types of people? Come back into lockdown. Come out of lockdown.
There's going to be basically sort of two types of people after lockdown. Those who are, I don't think it is, but basically you're going to have two types of people. One who those who are ready to go back to work, those who are ready to get back into the community and that because they've been looking after their health and fitness. They're taking the steps to get the results they're after. Or you're going to have the other type of person who's dreading lockdown, dreading the end of lockdown and going back to work because they're not feeling happy about the way they look now because they haven't done anything over the lockdown period.
And then it's like, which one do you want to be?
Yeah, which one do you want to be? So that might be more towards...
That was when we were selling the online ones?
Yeah.
Right. Which one do you want to be? Do you want to have regret or do you want to be ready?
Yeah. So I change it with the studio sales, two types of people, those who are ready and made the commitment and ready to take the step, or those who are behind the 8 ball when the when the studio's open because they haven't made any steps towards changing their position. Like,
yeah. So what I want to do is I want to throw to let's throw to South Australia. Oh, where are they? Are they there? Lanny, come in.
Hello.
And Pete.
Hey.
So you guys have been selling. So what's been working for you guys over there?
Well, I was just talking to Lanny. I said, like, the script is awesome, and it's great to sort of use that as a guide. But I said, if you get on the phone with the thought process of selling a contract, you're off the wrong foot straight away.
Totally.
So I'm just reinstating what you said, but pretty much, if you get on the phone with the thought process that someone's reached out for help and you're reaching back to give them help, well, that script just comes naturally and you'll come across genuine and you'll form a connection anyway straight away.
Love it.
And it's as simple as that. With your mindset when you actually ring them. Don't think about selling a contract. Don't think about getting another member. Just think about they've reached out for help and you're there to help.
Yeah, saving someone's life.
Yeah. And sometimes I'm on the phone for like 15 minutes because they're like vomiting information about
they actually want to.
People are actually really positive when we've been calling them in
really
contact. They're very strong leads that we're getting at the moment. People want to talk to us. I don't know if that is because they have time now or that people are feeling a bit shitty and want to get into the gym.
Fix me. Yeah.
It's been really good.
I agree. A lot of people I'm talking to are sort of closer to making the call or they've already made a decision like, they need to do something. So, with the lockdown and that. So,
I thought it would be harder to sell a membership without a trial offering, but with the no lock-in contract relaunch membership style that we're offering, it's not even a question.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping at this point I'm going to open in no worse a position than when I closed.
Fantastic. That's a great goal for everyone. Like if you're still kind of on that step one and trying to figure out what your goal is.
Len, can I just ask a question? Are you guys doing the 28-day Kickstart program? Is that what you're doing?
No, personally, I'm just selling memberships straight up. We've just, I think we started, just over 3.5 weeks ago, I think, Dozer?
Yeah.
So I've converted 43 memberships.
Wow.
And these are new people.
Yeah.
Brand new.
And everyone's really receptive. If you're not going out there hard at the moment, I'd be starting today. Even if you don't have a date, we've had a date and had it taken away and we're just handling those conversations and people have been really understanding. Even my new people that I've brought on, I've made sure that we've stayed in contact with them as the changes come through as well and just make sure that they are on those platforms for information like our Facebook group and that they do know that we're thinking of them just like our regular membership base.
So how have you, if it's no lock-in and you're not selling in 28 days, are you just giving your regular pricing and it's a week to week or how does it work?
We're across all of South Australia. Most studios are offering a relaunch membership that's uncontracted with 2 weeks notice to cancel as an offer for those people because we're not doing any trials because we simply don't have the room, as most of you would be in the same position. So we're doing a no contracted offer at a regular sort of rate. There's a little bit of a discount on it. We're doing a $55 no relaunch membership, we've called it, and it's working quite well.
Yeah. So 50 members in 3 weeks. I mean, there's not a single person on this call that wouldn't want that.
I like how you rounded that up.
I mean, there's still plenty of time left.
I plan on doing
today. I'm going to flick over to, thanks for that, Team SA. I'm going to flick over to Wayno. Come in from our North Sydney satellite.
Hey, mate.
Jeff, you're on fire at the moment.
Oh, I'm not at 50 in 3 weeks, but you should have put me first. Yeah, we're doing all right. We've been we signed on like 7 days ago. I think Wednesday last week.
So of the 39 leads that have come through, I've actually been able to speak to 22 people. The others are sort of unreachable at the moment. I'm just waiting to keep following them up. Of the 22 I've spoken to, we've converted 13.
Nice.
So we're sitting about 60% conversion from the conversation. So the script is working, definitely. And I'm far from perfecting the script. One thing I have found that people are exactly what the guys are saying, that people are really wanting to talk and wanting some certainty with coming back to the gym. So that's definitely happening. One thing with the rapport and finding common ground with people, we've probably got a blessing in disguise with coronavirus.
Right.
Every single person in the world's got that in common.
Yeah.
So they've got common ground straight away.
We've all been snacking.
Yeah. So I'm using that as a really good way to build rapport, because as soon as I ask how are you coping with the lockdown and everything, they just start spewing all the issues.
Great question. Great question. Everyone write that one down. Great question. How are you?
The kids are annoying me.
How do you say it? How are you coping with the lockdown?
How are you coping with the lockdown or since the lockdown?
Yeah, kids are annoying me, bloody snacking. Friggin', I just want to get back in the gym, right?
Yeah. So they're pretty much telling me their pain points straight away. And then I'm asking what they're looking to get out of the training. They're telling me lose weight, tone up and stuff. And I'm sort of, the way I frame that back to them is that's what you want from the gym, but I'm asking why you want that. And then I just said, think about it. Why do you want that? And then I just shut up. Like you said about the credit card, that's when I shut up and let them think and talk. So, yeah.
That's awesome, dude. What else?
That's pretty much it. I just want the gym to open. Come on, Gladys.
Come on, the Gladys. Mate, that is a great call. I love that question. Absolutely love that question. And well done on those sales so far. Do keep going. Amy, I'm going to throw up to you, buddy. Because you've been selling. You don't even have a gym. I mean, it's not even open, really.
No, I don't. So there's a lot of interest out there.
No gym, no date. You're still selling. So how's it working?
I agree. Once I get them on the phone, if I can get them on the phone, they don't stop talking. My calls, they last about 30, 35 minutes.
Jesus.
And what we're doing is we take a deposit and that forms their first week. So they feel like they're getting something by paying 1 week's worth.
Yeah.
And then they take comfort in that they're not going to pay anything else until they can actually come in.
Yeah.
And the other thing I've been doing is because I've been speaking to so many people, if they don't commit or sign up as such over the phone, as soon as I get off the phone, I send them a text and I say, oh, hey, blah, blah, thanks so much for your time, and I just sort of summarize what we've talked about. And I pick something that they've shared, like this one lady, she kept telling me about her daughter. So I just said, oh, I can't wait to meet her, or, something like that. And straight away she came back and was like, yep, I can't wait, blah, blah, blah. I've processed my deposit, I'm in,
Wow.
So just that little, and also it helps me. People out here, they text. They don't want to talk. They either want to talk to you and you spend hours on the phone, or they want to text you. So I find by sending a text after I've spoken to someone, it helps me when they text me and say, oh, what about blah, blah. And it like makes me think, oh yeah, that they want to know about,
Yeah. Yeah.
So can I just add to that? One thing that Pete did that I wish I had started 3 weeks ago, he was taking...
Everyone write this down. Whatever she's about to say, write it down.
He took the first week payment as well, whereas I'm just like signing them up, getting the credit card details and assuring people that they won't be charged until we open. However, I just wish I did that.
I agree. Take the deposit. Yeah, I agree. Take the deposit. And Absolutely. I'll tell you why, from the flip side as well, because I agree with you, Lanny. Magic, what happens if we make sales for studios and they don't process their payments?
Yeah, they're going to be... A lot of people are really sketchy, obviously, over the phone and giving you details and that, and even more so now. So, I've had, people that if I don't do a payment or something, they're SMSing me, you haven't charged my car, what's going on? You've got my card number, but you haven't used it. So I think it's much better to do it. And plus, it kind of locks them in a little bit.
Yeah, and like people want to know that they've solved that problem at least mentally in their heads. Like, cool, okay, that's like they've all got the laundry list of things they've got to do that day, and it's like, fuck, okay, I solved the big problem. Now I can move on. And
Statement as well, which I can't believe I forgot to do that.
Yeah.
Can I add something? What I did in MindBody was I set up a thing that is the deposit.
Yeah, deposit.
So, yeah, so they go to the website or the app, and then they process it themselves, and then they get an automatic email with their receipt, and then they get a text from the studio saying, welcome, here's your registration form, join the Facebook page, we'll be in touch.
Boom, there you
That
go.
way they don't have to give me their details, because I was exactly the same. They're like, oh, what? I'm not going to give you my credit card details. So they process it themselves, and then they've got comfort that they don't have to share that. They
Just as long as you've got a little follow-up there, Amy, to make sure that, because there will be a little bit of a drop-off there on those that got the link, and then they'd have to, they've got to do that day. So just go back and make sure that anyone you sent it to that didn't do it, just make sure there's a process to go back and close that loop.
Can I ask a question? Is anyone throwing them who's not open, throwing them into their lives just to keep them involved until they open?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone gets access to live complimentary. If they
join up.
Yeah.
That's an easy win. And that way that's a good question, Michelle, because that way they get to see, especially your Facebook group, like everyone's going fucking mental. Like, so like they get to see all that and there's like, shit, I'm now part of this. Like, so that's a good little one as well.
That's part of our big thing that I'm telling people as well. One thing I'm playing on massively is the support and the community that we provide in the studio. And that's how we can get them introduced to that before they even step foot in the gym. So yeah, 100%. Everyone that I sign up now is going straight onto the lives free of charge.
And on that as well, just be sure to acknowledge that, hey guys, this is, especially for those that have never done F45, this is not an exact representation of what you will have in studio. You just can't get that through a video. Although it's awesome and it's energetic and amazing, you wait till you get in the studio.
I feel like saying.
Got a question here from Jamie and Becky. So what times are we calling people? What are our best times? So, I'm glad you asked. I'm going to show you something. Hang on, where is it? Actually, Magic, I'll throw to you. Magic, what are you finding now? I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. While we're in lockdown, has the times changed on when's the best time to call?
No, I don't think so. Like, because people, even though people are working from home, they're still doing their hours that they're doing. They're tending to keep the same routine. So I would say no, but you may maybe have, you will get on to people at different times, maybe a bit easier because of what's happening. But no, I wouldn't change the times at all. When's the best time to get a conversation, dude? So pretty much, I think from if it's a brand new, if you're following someone up for whatever reason, like from 8:30, I think that's an okay time to call. But I think if it's a new conversation, you leave like pretty much 9 o'clock to 10:30 is going to be your prime time. 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock, and then 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 7 o'clock at night would be the other prime times. Like lunchtime, sometimes you can reach people. I mean, they're on their break, but often they're on their break, so they're already doing something, so they don't have that time to chat. So I would say that first couple of hours in the morning, and then for the middle of the afternoon, sort of 6, 7 o'clock is definitely the prime times. In saying that, if we're trying to get appointments and we're sending out SMSs asking them what time, you're going to get random times throughout the day for sure. A lot of people say, "Can you call me after work?" And that's always around that sort of 3 o'clock mark is when we start getting a little bit kind of like, that 3:30itis.
Yeah. One of the reasons I asked that too is we're just starting our summer here in Minnesota. So we have 3 to 4 months of outdoors, and then it's fall and winter again. And so I know that many of you are going into your winter, I believe.
Yeah. But this is like regardless of season. Yeah. And it also, depending on your demographic as well, you know, we've done calls for, you know, studios that are heavy kind of like tradie based, or, you know, if you're near like hospitals or whatever, you'll get to understand the local community in terms of like shift works and stuff like that. But typically that sort of like 8:30 to 10 o'clock as they're kind of, you know, starting their day up. And that sort of like 3 or 4 o'clock to, you know, onwards to catch them sort of like when their attention starts dropping at work, if they sort of work in the offices or whatever, and certainly kind of like after work. They're the best. They've always been the best times to call. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
That's a question, Dozer. Your 4 text messages that you send when you can't get through, there's like the text 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got a copy of that, and I just tweak it depending on the promo or whatever. So you said earlier that you, in this current environment, you get up to like about a 10 to 12 times follow up. How do you tweak or do the text messaging? Because the 4th one says like, kind of, this is the last time we're going to contact you, just making sure you're not interested.
Magic.
So the 4 texts are pretty much spread over, pretty much over the first 7 days. Like, and then, you know, our belief is once you get past 7 days and you haven't got onto them, the lead definitely starts to get a bit colder. So it's obviously the sooner you can get onto them, is definitely going to be the best. So yeah, I mean, I can share what I've got, which is a format of how I actually use those texts. But it's pretty much in that first 5 days, you would have sent out all those 4 texts. And then obviously on the 5th day is going to be that final text. Like,
Magic, how many kind of attempted contacts will we try and aim for within the first 5 days?
5 days, like, well, including text, like if you include text as a contact as well as calls, like I think over that first 5 days, you're going to have about 8, probably, like 8 times, because obviously you don't want to harass people, but there's a bit of a borderline. Like I know, like people are just so busy. Sometimes they don't even see the text. They don't notice the missed call. I'll call someone after the 5th day and they're like, oh, look, I know you've been calling me all week and I've just been so busy. I apologise. And then they'll take the call. So it's important to not harass someone, but you can't call them once or twice and think, oh, well, they haven't got back to me. They're not interested. Exactly. You've got to be doing it over 5 days. And if they're not answering, don't let that change your attitude that they're not interested, because they probably are, but they're just hectic. It's the way people are, I guess.
Yeah, thank you.
And also people don't, I know about your assumption, but a lot of people don't answer a call if they don't know who the number's from. So it's important to get that text out or leave voicemails and that so they know who it is calling.
Question, Michelle? No.
One thing I've been doing is exactly the same, is if they don't answer the first time, it's because they don't recognize the number. So I send a text and say, hey, it's Amy.
Hey, it's Amy from Quakers Hill.
Yeah.
And if they've filled out that second bit of the form that tells me what their goals are, I put a line that says, we really want to help you achieve your goals, or something with an emoji that has the love hearts. And the
nice.
people that come back to that straight away, they're like, oh, this isn't, although it is a generic text, they feel like it's not.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, add your personality. Absolutely. Absolutely. The other little hack is you do the double call. We love the double tap. So if you called someone, didn't pick up, call them again, all of a sudden they think it's super urgent. And it is. We're trying to save their life. If they don't respond to a text message, give them a day max. That follow-up text message that works nearly every friggin' time to get a response is just, it's groundbreaking. But it's just their name, question mark, question mark. And that gets a response. So if you've texted them a few times, or if you texted them and they haven't responded to you, just text them again with just their name, question mark, like fish. And they'll respond. Oh, sorry, I was like the kids and the homeschooling, and then there's someone had slipped in the shower, and then fucking life happened, all that kind of stuff. Any other questions? Now's your chance. Wayno's good. Fish is good. Michelle, you're good. Amy's on fire. Ian, mate, you're about to get onto the calls. This is going to be your first time on the phones, buddy. And the leads are coming through. So it's basically showtime for you. What time is it up there now?
It's actually almost 10 p.m.
Okay, probably not now, but maybe in the morning, I'd give them a call.
All right, awesome.
Okay, and report back. Just record some for us. Either of you guys, if you guys do your own selves, just record some for us, drop it into your Slack channel, and that's probably like the best way for us to kind of actually listen in on them and tell you really quickly on just some key kind of bits to improve. Just like when you technique me on the deadlift, right? Same thing. Same, but different. Andy, you ready to go? On your sales calls?
Yeah, mate. We're been doing them anyway. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah, we've been going through them. We've got probably 70% back. But yeah, we were about to start that campaign with you today.
Yes.
I think that one the other guys are talking about with the membership, with the no locking in. So
yeah. So take the deposit and walk into it thinking that, yeah, you're going to help the person out.
Yeah, no problems.
Awesome. Jamie, you're all good over there, guys? Once we obviously get those out-of-account access, as you got the magic on it. Jules, you'll have one of our guys on it, but even still, like, it's probably good. You'll get this video to share with your head trainers as well. Jess and B, you guys feel good about this? And Andy? Thumbs up? Okay, good. Actually, it's easier. I reckon it's easier as a trainer, you know, or if you're actually on the floor, right? Because it's so much more real. Like you're talking to the person who's about to fucking help you do it. Like that for me is like, if you can find a trainer that's actually not afraid of the phone, slam dunk, you know, let us help them. We can help you train them, or we can train them for you, or whatever it is. But it's even better. Totally, it's even better. And then even better, when they're coming for an induction, you know, your 80% rollover is actually started on the phone just then, right? So if you sold them, coming for induction, hey, you're the one that's got the fucking thing, and and then you do your induction, and then as you go through those first 4 weeks, or whatever it is that you do your nurtures with them, you've got a relationship with them. And we are in the relationship business. It just happens to sell fitness. Okay. Or confidence. All right, Team New Zealand. Unmute.
Yeah, I was trying to move my mouse. Yes, I am going to have a catch up with Emma tonight. We're doing playoffs for our F45 Live members to say thank you, giving out goodie bags and things like that. From my understanding, she has been struggling to make contact, so people aren't answering.
Okay, so good point. I'll jump in. If you're struggling to make contact, there's 2 things that are happening, which is really there's 2 things that are happening, right? You're not calling at the right times.
Yeah.
Or urgency in the thing. So when the leads drop in, ideally fresh leads within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're on the pots and, you know, I remember when I was, you know, if I was on the pots and pans at home making the stuff for the kids, and then a lead would drop through, it'd be like, Michelle, it's all yours, bang, you know, lead, bang, you know, like it is, think of it as like you're a lifeguard and a hand goes up out of the ocean. You got to like, don't, you know, just kind of like, I'm going to finish my lunch and then I'll come get you, okay? You're not doing that. It's like, hand goes up, fuck, right, straight out.
Yeah, and that calling within 5 minutes, that's what we 100% need to implement. I jumped on just to do through like the pipeline, I rang random people and I deliberately called when I knew Emma wouldn't be calling, and I got 95% people answer my phone calls. So you're right, again, with that call time, people aren't answering between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. at the moment. They're answering between 5 and 7.
Yeah. And if you really want to improve, right, if you're finding that you're not achieving your run rate required, you've got to improve. There's like a few numbers that you need to look at, right? The first one is like number of calls you've made, how many conversations you're having, how many say yes, which then works out your win rate, right? And if you track that, you'll see, or share that with us, and that'll actually tell, like for me, Magic, because we look at that every day, that tells us a story. right? If your calls to conversations are a low percentage, we've got to improve pickup time, time of call, and like the times that you're making the phone calls, and the number of times that you're making the phone calls, right? It generally comes down to time, that first gap, right? You know, how quickly you can get onto those phone calls, how many times you try them, and making sure that you're doing it at the right time. If you're having conversations, but your win rate's low, it's the script. You know, it's following the script, following the principles, your tone. Are you jumping around? Are you actually maintaining control of the conversation? Another objection that we kind of get all the time, and so don't get rattled if you get this. It's like, I just want to know the price. Like you just started and they've just gone, I just want to know the price. You're just like, okay, well, it depends. And then,
on what?
Exactly, it depends on what. Well, it depends on what you want to achieve. So what is it you want to achieve in 6 months' time, Magic?
Well, where do I start?
Yeah, exactly. So then before you know it, you've kind of, you're not combating them. You're in martial arts, you're using their force to your advantage kind of thing, and you're just twisting over here. And, you know, before they know it, they're 3 minutes into the script, right? It depends. So that's a lot. I mean, we've gone through about an hour and a half of sort of sales training. I'm going to share those things. You all actually have access to most of that training in the modules in the back end of the Geronimo website. Magic will share the sort of email and the text stuff that we use, but it's also as part of your templates as well. But remembering that, yeah, I think the biggest point to remember is that, you know, it did matter it mattered when we weren't in lockdown, and it matters the same in lockdown. We're here to help people. We're not here to flog gym memberships. That's the number one thing, right? That is the number one thing. You've got to know your numbers as well. You've got to know your numbers, right? How many do we need per day? And you need to make sure that you're hunting down whatever the number is to make you win the day. You win the days. If you win enough of the days, you're going to win the week. If you win enough of the weeks, you're going to win the month. If you win enough of the months, you're going to win the comeback. And that's really what it is. You just got to break it right down. And just remember, sales is not everyone's in sales, okay? So everyone that goes, I'm not in sales. It's like everyone's in sales. You know, you're trying to convince someone to come 4 times a week or to never miss the Monday. You're trying to sell them, you know, the benefits of that or why they should be doing that. Or even if you're techniquing someone on the floor, you've got to sell them. That's a better way to do that move. Everyone's in sales. Any final questions? Was that helpful? Yeah. Who feels a little bit more confident now that they can kick some fucking doors down and make some sales? Ian, mate. Hey, Ian, we want you to report back to the group after one full day tomorrow. What day is it tomorrow over there? Friday, right? Yeah. So for Friday morning is going to be your best bet, right? Friday morning. So tomorrow morning is going to be your best bet. So whatever leads come through between now and when you wake up, get yourself in the zone, pour yourself a big cup of coffee, and go for it, okay? Zone in, do like 10, 15 minutes of like script. Maybe you can even replay some of this video, which I've recorded, and just get in the zone and then start making calls and go for it. Help people out. Cool? All right, legends. I'll share the link to this video so you can pass it on to your teams or whatever it is. But really, it's going to come down to you guys now as the leaders of the business to make sure that you create the culture, you create the deadline, you create the goal, and that's your North Star. And we make sure that everything that we're doing is aligned to making sure that we achieve that. All good?
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, legends. I'll be in the Facebook group if you need me or in Slack channels. See ya.
Bye.
Guys.